On Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and the market.
It's a beautiful morning. Welcome to Business Focus on Politics and Business TV. I am Maria Zakari, your anchor. On Business Focus today, we're going to look at the World Economic Summit. After days of deliberation on global challenges like climate change, global inflation, and the downward trend of globalization in recent years, the World Economic Forum came to an end. Which is an independent international organization, has identified some risks that Nigeria could face in 2024. In the latest 2024 Global Risk Report, it listed economic downturn, energy, unemployment, public debt, and inflation as the 5 risks for Africa's biggest economy. Highlights of the World Economic Forum 2024 included talks about trust, cooperation, and security, economic growth and trade, climate, nature and energy, advancements in artificial intelligence and its governance, people, equity, and human development. The rise of more powerful middle power type countries around the world, eradicating poverty through climate, healthcare, and field security. Series of sessions address conflicts in the Middle East through new approaches to peace and security for both Israelis and Palestinians. Our very own Vice President Kashim Shettima, who was present at the forum, gave a charge during the African Economy of Scale plenary at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, regretted that African trade was still hovering around 3% of the world trade. He spoke on the need to encourage intra-African trade and also ways to facilitate the AFCFTA. Today on Business Focus, we'll be recapping the World Economic Summit. You stay tuned, we'll come back. I will come for the equity, commodity, and currency markets. Stay tuned.
Hello there. Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and the market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus.
Welcome back from the break. We're going to look at the markets, and we're starting with equity markets, and with that we're starting with the highest trades for today as of close of market yesterday. The highest trades, we have Etana topping that list with 442 trades at the volume of 14,677 at the value of 401,058. Transco also had 223 trades at the volume of 8,549 at the value of 150,888. Dangote Cement had 223 trades also at the volume of 1,748 at the value of 1,110. We'll look at now the top gainers. The top gainers as of close of market yesterday. The top gainers, we have Shunu Assurance at positive 10%. We have Dangote Cement at positive 9.99%. We have Triple G at positive 9.81%. at negative 9.85%. We have Cadbury at negative 9.82%. We have UPL at negative 9.41%. We'll take a look at the commodity market, and we're starting with the commodity top performers. And topping that list, we have lead at positive 2.27%. We have coffee at positive 2.27%. We have soybean at positive 2%. And we also have RBOB gasoline at 1.84% and cocoa at 1.78%. Let's take a look at another commodity. We'll look at precious metals now. Precious metals, we have gold topping that list with negative 0.33%. We have palladium with negative 1.37%. And we have platinum at negative 0.44% negative. We'll look at energy now, and topping the list for energy, we have natural gas, that's Henry Hub, at negative 5.32%. We have ethanol at 0.05%. We have heating oil at 0.38%. Let's take a look at industrial metals now. And topping the list for industrial metals, we have lead at positive 8.99%. We have iron ore at negative 0.15%. And we have copper at positive 1.53%. Let's take a look at agriculture. That's the last on the commodity market. We have cotton topping that list at positive 1.13%. We have oats at positive 0.73%. And we have lumber at 0.27% positive. The currency market, the naira declined against the dollar on Monday, January 22nd, 2024 in both the official and black markets. The currency depreciated by 2.54% to close at 925 naira 0.34 to a dollar at the close of business officially. This represents a 22.89 loss or a 2.54% loss in the local currency. The naira also depreciated in the parallel market to close at 1,360 naira to a dollar, which also represents a 0.74% decrease as to what it closed the last business day. We'll take a break. We'll come back for the interview segment, where we'll be looking at 2024 World Economic Summit in Davos. Do stay tuned.
Hello there. Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insight from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and even market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus. Hello there. Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insight from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and even market.
Welcome back from that break. We are joining Malam Yushau Aliyu live via telephone to discuss the World Economic Summit as it closed last week, Friday. Good morning, Malam, and welcome to Business Focus.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
How is the weather today?
The weather is friendly and convenient.
It's friendly in your side, Malam Yushau?
Yeah, it's very friendly.
Okay, it's not too friendly over here, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the World Economic Summit, and I want to start by saying, what are the most important takeaways from the World Economic Summit that ended this Friday?
The takeaways is coming from the chief host, that is the founder of the World Economic Forum, who is trying to build trust not only building trust in our businesses, trust in our future, and trust in our cooperation as human beings. That is the take home. Remember that the 2024 edition of a World Economic Forum is hosted by Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was attempting to hold global cooperation in terms of growth and energy. These are the take home, and at the same time also the world has gathered and we have identified areas of weaknesses and areas of future endeavors.
Okay, now talking about areas of future endeavors and areas of weaknesses, it was mentioned during the World Economic Summit by our able Vice President that the Africa's GDP needs to go up. That means we need to revamp our GDP to be more than 3%. What, in your opinion, will be effective in doing that?
Africa is peculiar, is in all economic terrain, but the most important aspect at which that will help Africa to attain a higher growth level is the situation of security in the entire continent, and also cooperation of trade, especially when we look into the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, because the conference is trying to put together a business community, leaders of thought, including political leaders and civil society. So if Africa is to have a friendly GDP with a friendly economy, we need to boost our security investment. We need to also look into our green energy for the future of development of Africa, especially that we have scientists that are locally based who have tried to bring out certain technological development that will help to transform the entire Africa and a global economy in the larger scale.
You mentioned security. How would the whole of Africa actually tackle that? As from what you said, that's the main thing to boost our production levels.
Different African economies have different security challenges, but the most important aspect of security challenges is to try to educate citizens to live together, because that is what we have taken out from the Davos meeting of 15th January to 19th January, that we should build trust among ourselves. So Africa that has multilingual societies that are also engaging in different economic activities together, we need to build stronger relationship by putting the United Nations Index of good educational policy, good labor policies, as well as good health care services that can take care of our domestic demand.
Okay. So now you mentioned something about African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and I would like to ask, how can that be used to encourage intra-African trade in the continent?
From the event that is that is unfolding, especially in the conflict around the globe, you understand that there are basic things that are required for African food industry development. There are things that are also required for technological transfer of African texture. So what we mean here is for the Africans themselves to identify areas of investment opportunities, and to try as much as possible to encourage African states to partner with them to build in capacity. Building in capacity means that if we are to develop our agricultural sector, we have to also look at the composition of our farmers, the nature of our soil, the nature of investment in our soil, the nature of input, and also the best way to shy away from the conflicting trading route, especially that affect the international trade route, which are no longer friendly, from the Ukraine to the North African transport route that are not friendly. Africa should try and encourage trade between ourselves, so that 40% of our entire capital that is flowing out of Africa will remain. By remaining in Africa, it will have a multiplier impact. That multiplier impact will assist in reducing so much of deficit that we encounter in our basic budgeting processes.
Okay, so I would also want to know, is the African Continental Trade Agreement just to boost the GDP of the continent?
Yes, of course. You know, once we engage in trading among ourselves, there is no need for us to go and import probably maize that is grown in Kenya. If we can have that agreement, it is easy to have maize that is produced in Kenya that has more attractive in terms of properties that has that the properties that the maize contain in African soil. So we will have better opportunities in trying to relate carefully using the cost advantage trade system where we trade and also among ourselves. What Kenya is looking for is in Nigeria, we give them what we need in Kenya, we take it instead of going far and inflicting higher cost to whatever we are importing. And also it will resolve the importation of unnecessary inflation that is hampering different economies far from the continental shores of Africa by maintaining price stability in our system. And that will encourage more people to be participating in the market when we have stable prices, when we are controlling the inflationary trend. This will also give rise to different job opportunities, and it will also maintain our jobs around African soil.
Okay, so now I wanted to make sure, run something by you, Malamisha. From there was a report from the World Economic Forum called Global Risk Report, and it listed Nigeria to have 5 risks, and one of them is energy supply shortage.
Yes, in Davos, business communities discusses risks associated with different economies, and
True.
Nigeria can make an exception because it has a very large market.
True.
The extent at which Nigeria is facing so much of inefficiencies in the production of our energy has different components. If you take energy that is associated with electricity, you realize that most of our industries are collapsing as a result of insufficient energy in terms of production and distribution. Not only that, we are also facing a lot of challenges because of the high cost of energy itself in the continent, especially Nigeria. You will find a situation where whatever you are investing in the Nigerian market is now whatever the profit margin you are expecting will now be under consideration of total variable cost attached to production.
True. True, Malamisha. Okay, there were talks about the AI at the World Economic Summit. It was one of the issues that were forefront burner. What do you have to say about Nigeria and the artificial intelligence?
You know, in Davos, the central philosophy is on how AI will influence science and technology. So, but whatever you are trying to influence as far as science and technology, you are talking about production processes and distribution processes and consumption processes. In my own opinion, artificial intelligence is not a threat at all to Nigerian economy. In fact, I have said it in many occasions that we need artificial intelligence to be part of our social life system, whereby if we are to check insecurity, the places that we have habited is more dangerous for a human being to be there. We can employ security gadgets that are guided by artificial intelligence that will help us to monitor our forests, that will help us to monitor our road, that will help us to monitor our factories, that will help us to even monitor our communities. This artificial intelligence is very, very critical to development and future development of human endeavors, and there is need for the nation to consider and reconsider our expert in artificial intelligence, especially in communication industry and in our agricultural sector. We require series of artificial intelligence to be involved in our agricultural practices so that we can have a production line that is working 24 hours. You know, if you are having an intelligence cycle where you program an artificial mechanized input, it will be performing for you. The only thing is for somebody to be managing, and you can run a shift management of artificial intelligence at different interval by making production cycle to be more efficient and successful. So if Nigeria can have that as an innovation that will transform our social way of life from security to production to even our transport system and our engagement in the educational sector, it will help greatly in pushing us forward to attain higher gross domestic product by also pushing our economy to be highly competitive around the globe.
Let me sure I agree with all of that, but do you think Nigeria is ready to go into AI full time?
Nigeria is, readiness, it depends on the investment.
Okay.
The readiness of a nation is for us to conceive the idea and to put right policies on ground. When you put the right policies on ground, that is what will identify whether you are prepared for a challenge or you are not prepared. But what we are saying, AI as a phenomenon, it has to be part of the Nigerian process, and there is no need we cannot be part of it, because like I told you on personal ground at certain level, that personally I have a son who is an artificial intelligence expert who is working in Finland and helping the Finland economy. In fact, he is among the group that are working on beyond 5G technology. So if you have Nigerians at that spectrum, you have those people around the globe. The only thing is for the government to create an agency that can bring all these experts together, and they will come and then design a policy that will be effective in our military, a policy that will be effective in our telecommunication, a policy that will be effective in our industrial process, the policy that will be independent and efficient in our agricultural practices. Is very, very easy to achieve that target, but you have to bring the expert, and the expert that are recognized expert to sit and then formulate policies for the state to follow.
Okay, now you mentioned your son in Finland. Okay, would we bring him, when we eventually, Nigeria, bring him and others like him that are experts in AI back to Nigeria, will we be able to sustain them?
But it depends on the policy. The first thing is sacrifice. These guys are super intelligent, and they have been recognized worldwide, and they are working for different firms, and they are presenting papers at international fora that the papers are still working for the world economy. There is no reason why Nigerian government cannot bring them back. They are ready to be part of the development process of their country. The only thing is that the political will to bring them back and put them on track. This is what is required. And fundamentally also, they have to work along with our experts in the domestic economy, and they have to work along with also experts in different field of endeavors, so that we can share information, we share prospect together, and we design a better policy that will bring Nigeria to the limelight. There is no problem if you have an intelligent expert who is in Kenya, who is ready to work for Nigeria, is an African. There is nothing wrong if you can bring an intelligent expert who is building sophisticated electrical, energy-friendly cars, energy-friendly drones for the African soil to make use of them. There is no problem. The only thing is that sometimes we lack political will, and we also create element of doubt. We have to be optimistic that this country is going to be better. This country can use its own human resources and develop itself, and we can achieve that in a very few years when we have a design policy that can take us and give us a headway for a successful nation.
Madam Yosho, at the World Economic Summit, also talking about AI, the Chinese premier mentioned that the AI should not be used to control or dominate subdeveloping countries. What do you have to say about that?
See, for a Chinese economy, it's a different approach. For an Indian economy, it's a different approach. For African economy, it will be a different approach. All we need is that it is a revolution. It has come to stay. China is building a city that is guided by artificial intelligence. That is the Dalian city. They have achieved so much in Dalian city where all the operations human conducted is sophisticated. The fear that Nigerians or many people will lose their job. No, it's not. We can train technicians. Those who are to be unemployed in other fields can be retrained and be part of the development process in different dimensions. We have bigger market, we have bigger system, we have also bigger opportunities around. In my own opinion, we are not supposed to begin to exercise fear on something that we have made the good use of it. For instance, like I told you, if we are to secure our forest, for instance, if you are to put if you are to put 10,000 army, but you can put 3. If you can put 3 drones to make that work, it's going to be cost effective. It will be more important for the government, and it also is more secure. So there is nothing to fear about artificial intelligence, even in our industrial line, because in Africa we have 101 opportunities to make life to make a good living.
Okay, and Malam Yusha, I thank you for your time, but I have one quick question on the AI. Would it be that we, the developing countries, would not be dominated by the developed countries in terms of using the AI?
It's impossible. Africa is a continent. We have our production line. They have their production line. We have our resources. They have their resources. We have our own demand. We have our demand pattern. We have our purchasing power. The only thing is that in Africa, the only thing that will make Africa to remain independent in itself is to make everything African. And if we can have an African-friendly policies in our industrialization, Africa industrial policies in our energy, this will help us to achieve greater things. Remember that it is only in Africa that you are having the challenges of rural-urban migration. Sure. Presently, we fail to develop the different rural cities. If we can develop rural cities with a rural economy, with a rural guided artificial intelligence, that will keep people to be more exhaustive in nature in discharging their civic responsibility and in partaking in our economic production lines. There are 1 million jobs on ground, and these 1 million jobs require just coordination to take away unemployment. Remember, Nigeria is having the worst unemployment record. Right from 2023 in January, over 133 million Nigerians are laid off. So is it the fault of artificial intelligence? No, it's as a result of inefficiencies in our own monetary and fiscal policies that has to be addressed.
Okay, now you're talking about the AI should be adopted to the African culture and setting.
Well, why not? Why not? Let me give you an instance in our if we are to make census of African market squares. Nobody can eliminate our market squares. Africa is friendly with market, and in each locality you have market being operated, different goods and services are sold. But the only thing to make things efficient is to make an artificial intelligence to maneuver the market, to guide the market, to look at the communities, to protect the communities, to protect those who are operating in the market. In our educational system, we have to revolutionize our schools, our school system, our teaching method, our teaching gadget. All these things require intervention of the latest technologies that will make people to be as smart as the smart world.
Thank you for that insight, Malam Yusha Aliyu. Thank you for your time and effort this morning.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'm grateful, and good morning, Nigeria once again.
Now have a good day, sir.
Thank you.
That was Malam Yusha Aliyu, an economist, talking about the World Economic Summit. He actually narrowed it down to the AI, artificial intelligence, and talked about it at length so we understand how it should be put down into Nigerian space or the African space and culture in itself. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back for the rest of the interview segment. Do stay with us.
Hello there. Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and the market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus. Hello there. Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and the market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus. Hello there.
Welcome back from the break. We are looking at the World Economic Summit here on Business Focus on Politics and Business TV, and we are joined live now via telephone with Mr. Wale Joshua to discuss it some more. Good morning, Mr. Wale Joshua. Welcome to Business Focus.
Good morning, and nice having me today.
So we're talking about the World Economic Summit. For you, what would you say are the highlights? Were the highlights of the event that just ended last week, Friday?
The World Economic Forum, the team to that World Economic Forum was led by the Vice President of Nigeria, Mr. Kashim Shettima, and that's a high delegate on its own, giving the importance of the forum to our nation. World Economic Forum is where the political economics and many leaders of thoughts, they meet each other in fine-tuning what determines the action plans and the policy plans of government and private sector individual. The highlight of this occasion was the meeting of the Vice President Kashim Shettima with the world roundtable opinion leaders, where the African Free Trade agreements and area were discussed. African free trade agreement is as important to Nigeria as the balance of trade in the continent, as important to Nigeria as the value of its currency, because the trade in Nigeria drives what the value of the currency will determine in the international market. And since we floated the currency, it's better we watch. We are alive to what the trade and business is saying within the international environment. So sending these high delegates means that Nigeria is sensitive to what the trade and what the trade and business sector agreement is saying within the international sector. So the African Free Trade Agreement is very, very important to Nigeria, because whatever happens within the international market has a way of impacting Africa as its own, because the international market sees Africa as a big market which they need to explore.
We are the largest economy in Africa, after all.
Yes, largest economy in Africa after all, but it's telling on the continent its own, because all manufactured goods, all goods that were not manufactured in Africa but sold in Africa, means that Africa is losing its job opportunities to the other markets, the other continents markets. It means that Africa is losing the value of its currency to continents, other countries currency. So we need
Sure.
to look at this, talk to private sector within the attendance of the World Economic Forum, to see how they can have their seats in Africa, so that we can, in Nigeria particularly, so that we can control it. We can control their activities, control their the standard they give into Nigerian market, control the taxation they give into Nigerian market, rather than leaving it to international tax agreements, control whatever their employment opportunity is. We cannot control the local content agreement when the manufacturing side is not within Africa, it's not within Nigeria. So there is a need to look into African Free Trade Agreement, African Free Trade Area, in order to see how it benefits Africa. If you are selling in my country, how do you have your seats within my country? So that's what we should be looking at, rather than looking at the tax, the international tax agreement and international tax implication. Let's domesticate the tax. Let's domesticate whatever happens here in Nigeria, so that we take control and advantage of whatever happens here in Nigeria. Part of what's
Mr. Joshua, you are talking about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And talking about that, it is to be noted that Africa is, how can Africa improve its productivity of value-added commodity? You're talking about production now.
We're talking about production. There is no way Africa can improve its value added to each commodity without processing its raw material.
Sure.
Most of the raw material we have in Africa are domiciled, they are explored and exported to other continents to be processed and returned back to Africa.
Sure.
Let's look at where the world is tuning to. The world is trying to regulate the emission of CO2 into the environment,
Sure.
in order to have the control of the climate change. So it's leading to the use of lithium, and lithium is abundance in Africa, in Nigeria. So if we are exporting lithium to the world market without processing lithium, without having a lithium battery manufacturing plant in Africa, it's detriment to Africa itself. That's what will lead to war. That's what will lead to all extractive economic problem. So if we have those problems in Africa, and Africa is still the beneficiary of currency devaluation, it will be detrimental to the continent. So what I'm looking at is, whatever we manufacture here in Africa should be added, should be processed, so that we gain the value addition, and we gain whatever value addition we have on it. So we cannot achieve this. The only gap between achieving this and gaining from the market is the technological know-how of Africa. So we cannot do this without relating to the other side of the world. If we are relating with the other side of the world should equally let us have their own technological plants here, so that we manufacture here, process here, and send the end product to the world market, rather than sending the mined product to the world market. So the value addition in Africa determines what Africa will gain from African resources and minerals. Apart from after that's Africa Free Trade Agreement, we have other things which has to do with Ministry of Finance Incorporated. Ministry of Finance Incorporated is an initiative of this administration, which looks at bringing government to businesses, so that government will own some assets, earn dividend from the ownership of the assets, and even earn taxes from the ownership of the assets. This will give the control to the Ministry of Finance itself, having been the custodian of government business assets. So we have a lot of government business assets which government has hands in, part of which is the 20%, 20%, 20% stakeholding in Dangote refinery. We have the stakeholding in the gas plants in River State, and we have many other government assets that we expect that dividend and taxes will be earned from. So if we don't have Ministry of Finance incorporated managing this, we may not gain much from it. Apart from that, it's trying to trying to separate governance from the business mindset. Business mindset means that you have to earn profit from your assets, while government mindset means that you have to provide services to the populace at a cheaper price. So they are different things. So Ministry of Finance Incorporated has brought that mindset, diverging opinion, has brought a convergence between the diverging opinion in settling
Mr. Joshua, if I can come in real quick. At the World Economic Summit also, it was mentioned that the whole of the globe has a debt problem. The whole of the world, a lot of the countries, that's majority of the countries on the globe, have a global debt problem. What do you have to say about that, and to Nigeria in particular?
Well, Nigeria has a fair share in that. We have debt problem, and which we need to manage. The problem about debt issue is the interest rate. So the world should look at the interest rate at which they give loans and advances to each other. They should look at the interest rate at which they issue bilateral debts. The interest rate is the differentials, while they should equally discourage capital trap. What I mean by capital trap is bad debt, where governments take debts and they refuse to pay. So those are the issues. We have debts that are currently running, and what they've earned from their interest is more than ×2 of the debts. So they should look into what the interest rate is speaking in the international community. Yes, the interest rates should cover up for the inflation rates, but these bilateral loans and these multilateral loans were not created for earning for particularly for business purpose. They are created to help each other. And when we are talking about debt burden issue, we should look at the world as a big pocket. If you are looking at the world as a big pocket, who is richer than who? Is China richer than US? Is US not indebted to China? Is China not indebted to US? So where is the money coming from? So we are just borrowing each other. We are just recycling this particular capital amongst the member countries in search for the differentials, which is the interest element. If the interest element is favorable and good, I believe that the debt should not be is not particularly an issue. It will be easier for countries to service their debt and to repay their debts. So much of this debt burden issue is trapped in the interest element. If the interest is very high, if the interest is as high as anything, countries will go for that, and at the end of the day, they will always find themselves in the debt management problem, in the debt burden issue.
Sure, Mr. Joshua. Let's move now to AI, that's artificial intelligence. Would you agree that in 2024 there would be a rise of cybercrimes as a result of the artificial intelligence presence?
Yes, there will be a rise in cybercrime because artificial intelligence is built to mine from many other sources. It's built to mine from many unknown sources to bring it to the advantage of whatever artificial intelligence we are putting on board. Artificial intelligence is here to help us in the world, help us in terms of warfare, help us in terms of knowledge development, help us in terms of healthcare development. But artificial intelligence has its own disadvantage. One of the disadvantages is the fact that it will lead to more cyber cybercrime. That's not a problem, because as much as it's leading to cybercrime, it's creating another gap to be filled, which is equally going to be monetized. That is curbing cybercrime. That means we will need people who are knowledgeable in fighting cybercrime, in cyber auditing, cyber proactiveness, that is antivirus and the likes, and many other things. So it's creating a problem which will be solved equally by this artificial intelligence. What we should be looking about what we should be looking into in dealing with artificial intelligence is that it will create much of capitalist economy than socialist economy. So governments in the world should be ready for social intervention scheme, a lot of social intervention scheme, because most job will be cut. That means there will be less job opportunities. If there is less of job opportunities, that means artificial intelligence and robotics will take over much of our works. So people will be forced to look up to government. At this point we need to do much on our social register. We need to do much on our employment register, so that we monitor what we have. We need to do more in terms of our healthcare register, because as it is, if anybody loses his job, he or she will not be able to cater for his health challenges. So we should be looking forward. We should be looking into that, how we can do much on our social intervention, how we can create insurance for unemployment, insurance for social health challenges, insurance for even education issues, because these are basic things which the citizens are looking up to the government on. As much as artificial intelligence is creating a loss of job, we should be looking at social intervention from the government in doing this. That is the taxing the rich to make sure that the poor are not poorer.
During the World Economic Summit, our Vice President mentioned that the greater challenge is within ourselves. Would you agree with that? And how can we change the greatest of challenge to Africa, which according to him is within us Africans?
African problem is within Africa. That is why most policies that they bring up in most foreign textbooks will not work in Africa until they domesticate it in Africa. That is why we need to look inward into how to domesticate most theories and policies that they bring in from the international economy, international economic sector. Sure. African problem is within Africa. The first thing is insecurity. How do we control this? The second thing is the poor governance. How do we look into this? The third policy is the leadership. Leadership that's aside from the governance itself. Leadership within the private sector. How do we lead well? How do we lead right? Another problem is the greed. The greed in Africa. Africa has not embraced the right side of the socialism. We believe in amassing wealth and creating a big man that solves the problem of the community. So if we can see a big man, most African believes that let me become a big man overnight, so that I will solve people's problem, rather than let me live for the social benefits of the continent itself. So African problem is domesticated in Africa, and one of those things that we should be looking at is the resources. African resources should not be allowed to go outside Africa without being processed. So one aspect which insecurity fuels is stealing of our mineral resources. They steal our mineral resources, they get away with it, and they come and sell it at exorbitant price to us in Africa. Imagine selling lithium at below 22% of international market price, and you still come back to sell the battery to the batteries created from the lithium element to Africa at an exorbitant price. How will a trade balance in that? How do we attain a trade balance in that agreement? How do we attain a good trade balance in that agreement?
Mr. Joshua, quickly before we round up, because this is actually worth mentioning. At the COP28, Nigeria had the largest entourage present there, and at the World Economic Forum that ended on Friday, We had just 5 entourage for the vice president. Is that a way of the president to show his commitment to actually cutting down costs of governance?
We had no option than cutting down the cost of governance. One of which has to do with the entourage following the president and vice president and other politicians to events like this. So this worthy of note that the president has been deliberate about cutting down the cost of governance. It's a good one from the administration. At least we will be able to save the foreign currency, the foreign exchange that should have been committed to that, foreign DTAs that should have been committed to that, and most especially the hotel allowances that should have been committed to that.
Sure.
It's a good one from the administration, and we're looking forward to them maintaining the tempo of this gesture.
That's a thumbs up for the president on that.
Yep.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Wale Joshua. Have a good day.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Viewers, you listen to the voice of Mr. Wale Joshua, who is a financial analyst and also a tax expert, where he talked about the World Economic Summit some more. That's it on Business Focus today. I am Maria Adu Zakaria on behalf of the production crew. Have a good week ahead.